the world, usually when we get businesses here and there. My name's David, and I'll be your tour guide again until around 5:30. We're going to finish at the eastern side of Montreal. The big lines across, we'll see very rapidly one of the two French period buildings, and before the end I'll show you quickly the only other French period building we still have in the old Montreal. Along I'll show you the site of the first hospital of the city and many other things. If you got questions throughout, please keep them to yourselves. I'm kidding. Just ask. I love when it becomes a bit of a discussion. But without further ado, I'll start with the beginning. Behind me we have the monument to the founding of Montreal. The date is still good, 1642. Montreal will be founded by the French. What did change is who we consider to be the founders of the city. We added to it. We still recognize Terminated, seen at the top as founder of the city, but we added Jeanne, seen at the bottom holding a terrified child because she's a nurse. She's offering healthcare on the little arm. She should be standing tall and strong next to him. She's now recognized co-foundress of the city because of our first. She arrived on the same ship in 1642 as Montreal, and if it wasn't for her, Montreal wouldn't have lasted 30 years. Early on, she will take care of all the internal affairs, Montreal dealing mainly with external affairs, and she will go back to France a few times to get funds to operate our hospital. That's something that hasn't changed in 300-400 years. And the second time she comes back to Montreal, Paul Chemédé and the other officers of the army here stationed in Montreal come to her about impeding attacks from First Nation on the city of Montreal, and the fact that they ran out of money to hire more soldiers to protect said city, and she's the one that's going to redirect funds that were supposed to go to her hospital to hire extra forces to protect the city. And it's evaluated that if it wasn't for that one event, Montreal probably would have been damaged enough that the French would have to retract along the St. Lawrence towards Trois-Rivières or Quebec City. Easy enough for the start. We're going to go back that way because you might have seen it in pictures when you knew you were coming to Montreal. Notre Dame is pretty up there, right this way. It's a bit noisy today. So behind me we have Notre Dame de Montréal. By the way, no connection with Notre Dame in Paris, except the name. But Notre Dame just means Our Lady. Very common in Catholic buildings. And when they built the new one, they went through the same thought. What's more impressive than one tower? Two towers is more impressive. The original one, built in the 17th century by the French, we would be inside of it. That's why the street is called Notre Dame. During the French period, it was the divine house of Montreal, you might say, on the crest, because you can see it goes down into the rest of the city and down towards the port. Here we're on a little crest on top of a little hill, the church in the middle, and all along all the religious order would have been along the top. But by the early 19th century, Montreal is growing pretty quick. We're talking a doubling of the population per decade at the time. It's now well into British control, and even though there's no more French Catholic immigration, there's a little change. They see around here the number of English-speaking Protestants start to beat out the number of French Catholics. So a new rule is put in. Pretty easy one, that works. Make babies, make a lot of babies. You see French Canadian families be 12, 14, 16 kids. All to say, they need a bigger church. The new one will open in 1828, and to try to impress the Protestants of the city, it's an Anglican that's going to be hired, Mr. O'Donnell from New York City. And you can see it in the styling of the building. the neo-Gothic movement, those pointy windows around here had never been seen in a Catholic building. This is the first one in Quebec of that style. It's also quite big, but not very ornate. It's quite more reserved, contrary to other Catholic buildings around. The inside, the total opposite. Anything they hold back on the outside, they put it tenfold inside. It's very, very ornate on the inside. Only one person is known to ever convert because of it, Mr. O'Donnell, who will become Catholic. But today, it's too big and too expensive for most people. They still have Mass on Sunday, but weddings and funerals are very few and far in between. It's on national news when there's one. It's heads of states. People like Céline Dion will get married here, or the most important people in Canada and in Montreal, hockey players. Maurice the Rocket Richard will have full honor funerals in the building here. And right next to it, you will see an older looking building over here made out of fieldstone. This is the oldest building period left in the city of Montreal. It's the Seminary of the Sulpicians, built in 1685 and quite well preserved. The only large modifications through the ages are the clock in the center that will be added in 1701 and the east wing that will be added at the turn of the 19th century when they built the new church. It's very well preserved because today it's the same group that owns it. It's still the priests of Saint-Sulpice that own it. Any questions before we leave the square and leave my friend to fend for himself? No? Let's go right this way.
Let's see if there's any.
Are you staying? Oh, wait. Okay. Yeah. Let's do that.
Yeah.